guys, hello. I will try to talk as I'm working. I'm not used to doing that, but I'll try. So, and I also have my phone here so I can kind of see what people are saying, or if you have any questions you can ask me. I'm just gonna work through what's going on right now and just playing around with ideas. I started a background texture right here. You can see it. It's just a mix of different elements, different scans of paintings and things like that. So we'll see if it evolves into anything. I had an idea already, so I've already kind of put that in here. I'm gonna do might be another one of my dark fairy tale ones. See what you guys can see. Okay, you can just see the canvas. Okay, and then this is where I keep all my images and stuff. You can see I scroll through my images, get all my different ideas that I have, and you'll kind of see that if I find something I really like, I'll throw it in there and use part of it or mask it or whatever, and that's kind of how I do it. So let's get to this. I kind of already have it started. So this is the character, the woman model I'm going to use. And let's see, I think I already had her kind of, had an effect on her to make her darker. And that way I create like a silhouette. And from the silhouette, I usually do my kind of design inside of it. So that's why I had this background the way it was. I already had an idea, so I'm gonna go with that. I threw a couple other things on here already for like textures and stuff. And yeah, I'm not even sure what I have on here. It's kind of a mess. Got some flowers, flower field here, it looks like. I might use that. Another flower. And a cat. There's always a cat. So let's start with, if it's going to be similar to my other fairy tale ones, then I'm gonna have to do something with her head area, kind of blend it with the background a bit. So if that's the case, I probably need to consider something forested. I'm thinking, I guess she's Asian, so maybe Mulan might be a good one for this one. Something that feels like, doesn't have to be a bamboo forest, but something forested would be nice. Yeah, something like this. This is exactly the kind of image that I need for these things. It's a strong contrast, and I can use the photo where I can pull out the trees and leave the white background. The really strong backlighting is actually really good for these. Quite a few of these. Here's another idea. This one's really straight, but I could use these trees right here. Actually, let's play with this idea. And you'll see I use Unsplash. It's a website, and they have a lot of really generous photographers that donate their photography. So if you see their name in there, please check them out. I usually use only pieces of the photographer's photographs, and I use a ton of them, so it's really difficult for me to credit everybody, but If I can, I would like to. So you can see their name in the file name up here if I use it. So in this case, I'm going to... It's just such a straight tree. I don't know if that's going to work with the way... Let's just take a look real quick and see what it looks like. Just to get like a see-through idea. Yeah, I don't know if that really matches the look. It might work down here in the neck, but yeah, we'll come back to that maybe. This one's probably more like it. Yeah, okay. So in this situation, I would try my best to use a filter or something that auto-select, but in this case it's not possible. It's too complicated of a background. So I'm gonna have to hand do this one, which is fine. Sometimes you have to. You can't get away with it. But it really has progressed quite a bit. Photoshop has gotten so much better with trying to pick out those elements. Now they have AI doing it for you, which is pretty insane. It actually works really well. I didn't expect that to work very well when it first was announced. I thought, yeah, right, that's not going to work. It actually worked pretty good. It's never perfect, but if you have a really strong contrast, like this area is white, this area is dark, it works really, really well. But when you have muddy areas, like right here, this area, it won't, and this, pardon me, this background tree, it wouldn't know what to do with it, so it probably would select it, even though you only want the foreground trees in the case. So as smart as AI technology is getting, it still requires a human to refine those small choices. I don't know. It might eventually get to a point where AI is going to be so good that it will just kind of predict exactly what you are wanting to do. Like, oh, did you want to take out only the foreground trees and leave all the background trees? And what is your definition of foreground? The strongest dark versus kind of a muddy background, or do you want some of the background? You know, like all those little nuances that the human mind instantly thinks of. Those just, I don't think AI will ever, or anytime soon, will be able to do that kind of really, whoops. Did I mention my computer is showing its age for sure? It's funny because that new computer just came out, the Apple Studio, and I really, really would like to get it, but at the same time, everything in my life has just been torn upside down, and we're moved into my mother's home, and she passed away last November. So we've been here trying to take care of the house, and the house is old, very old, and it's not a terrible house, it just hasn't been maintained. So right now it's kind of a mess. It's very old and needs a lot of work. So that's why I think a lot of the stress I've been feeling recently has been partly that, but we have a company that's going to remodel our home, and it costs an extreme amount of money. It's insane how much money it costs to remodel a home. Prices are outrageously high right now because of the, all the global shortages and all the stuff they tell you on TV. Everything's hard to find, and it takes what, 3 hours to, I mean, sorry, 3 to 6 months to get cabinets or windows or anything custom made. They're all stuck in shipping containers, or people have COVID still, I guess. I don't know if that's the reason, but people are everybody's quitting their job and somehow they have money to survive. I just don't understand that part. I mean, I'm all for people getting better pay and better jobs, but I just don't know how are they surviving if they're all quitting. I guess they're going to other jobs like Amazon or whatever, but I really don't know what that is about. I wish I could understand that, because I wouldn't mind considering getting a job myself if I knew I was going to be appreciated and actually have a decent pay. But I don't see that happening unless I absolutely have to, because I prefer to work alone. Honestly, I don't think I could work with people ever again. I mean, unless I absolutely had to. I just don't think I could deal with it. Which is kind of sad, but whatever. I'm too old to care anymore about what people think, and I just have to do what I want to do. The stress from working at a 9-to-5 corporate job, graphic design kind of job, I just can't do it. People can call me a wimp or whatever, I don't care. I don't have the patience, and I don't have the training, social skills to deal with people anymore. I mean, I can, of course I can, but only for a little while, and then I ended up just exploding or burning out or whatever, and it becomes a real bad situation. So it's better for me, for my own stability and just my own mental health, to work from home, I think, and just not engage with people anymore. I'd rather be alone. It's a lot easier. But the flip side of that is really the only way to make money is to be social and to interact with people. Even if it's from home, you still have to do stuff, and I don't have the blessing of being very good at stuff on the camera. I mean, this is as good as it's going to get for me when it comes to social stuff, and just not very good at holding a conversation, so do my best. But give me a few beers and I talk I talk better. But I find that I go online and I look up all these artists and I try to get inspiration from them, and most of the time I actually get disappointed. Not because their art's bad, their art's incredible. It's not that. It's more like when they talk, they never talk about the struggles that they're going through. Oops, what was I doing? Oh, this. And these artists will, it's not just artists, but other creatives, these YouTube influencers or whatever you call them, the ones with huge followings that are like doing really, really well. They all seem to talk about how great things are going, or if there are challenges, it's more like they overcame the challenges and you can too, no problem. But they don't really talk about their struggles day to day, and I know why, because our society doesn't like to show weakness, especially if you're somebody dealing with marketing and selling your brand or yourself. I mean, would you go to Starbucks if they said, "Oh, we're not the best coffee company in the world. We're pretty good. Yeah, we probably overcharge you for the same kind of thing you can get at McDonald's, but hey, we're pretty cool. We hope you like us." It doesn't really work that way. You have to say, "We're the best. We're better than everybody else. Here's why." Otherwise, nobody wants to follow you or care about you. as a brand and as a person too. And that's the thing with being an artist. You turn into a freaking brand, and you have to sell yourself all the time. And it's a joke. I'm like trying to be a salesperson. I'm the worst salesperson on this planet. And I do like my art. I guess I think I do. I mean, there's times where I question it, like the other day, but of course I question. Everybody should question what they're doing and what they think about their stuff. I think the problem becomes, do you value yourself based on those expectations or what those judgments that you make on your own stuff? And I had some very very nice, polite people message me and say, you know, everything's okay and you're gonna be fine and blah blah blah. But it's very nice, actually. I really do appreciate that. And I know other people are struggling through burnout and creative blocks. It's inevitable for artists to have creative blocks. And this is not working out the way I expected. I guess this is probably not a good idea to warp it like that. It's just, I was trying to get them to be a little more like leaning around trees. But that's the general idea for that area of the head. I kind of like to do these high contrast forest pictures as an idea, and I have a ton of them. It would take literally 3 hours to go through my forest folder. My forest folder is enormous, and so I have this is my general, I just throw everything into a folder whenever I see something inspiring, or I download or purchase something that I like. And then I lose track of it because there's too many things. Sorry if the internet's a little slow. It always is around here. Oops, wrong one. Camera raw filter. This is my absolute favorite filter to use in Photoshop. It has enormous power, and I'm surprised it's free. I mean, that it comes with it built in. I don't think a lot of people know about it. I mean, pro photographers might understand from using Lightroom, but you can use it as a filter in Photoshop and a smart filter on top of that, which means you can edit it. And that's pretty impressive, if you ask me. A lot of my work is collage. I guess you could call it collage. I don't like to downgrade it to collage. There's a lot of legitimate collage artists out there, but then there's also some that just don't really put in a lot of time and effort into their work, and I don't want to be lumped in with them. Not saying it doesn't have its merit. It's just that the way I do things, I want them to be much more I guess more time intensive and detailed and emotional, and just take more time. I kind of like her eyes being hidden, but at the same time, it kind of ruins the whole idea that she's Asian, because you can't really tell. The eyes really help with that, and the cheekbones and other facial features. So if I hide that, it kind of ruins it. And in these dark fairy tales, I kind of am, yeah, it's pretty obvious I'm implying that the trees on the head is like a crown, which is kind of funny, because it is a crown, it's on your head, right? But I think that's part of the, oh, that actually worked out pretty good right there. That's kind of the idea here, is that they're fairy tales. A lot of them are stories that are based in some sort of royalty. It might not be the, and by the way, some of these are obviously referencing Disney, but my intention is to be referencing the original fairy tales. In this case, Mulan might not be a real, it's more of a based on a historical figure rather than or a time period rather than an actual, like a fairy tale specifically. But, you know, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not really familiar with Mulan. I mean, I saw the cartoon years ago, but in the 90s or whenever it came out. But I did not see the remake of it. I'm pretty sure it probably failed like most of the remakes do. I did like the Maleficent, the first one. I really liked the concept of the fairy and I mean the fae and the whole world that they kind of created around that. The rest of the story, I don't really, it was okay, just whatever. I'm not a big Disney fan, to be honest with you. I never have been, because I live in Orlando. It's like Disney Central. Everybody's Disney psycho excited about it. And as a kid, I liked Lion King as a kid a lot. I liked Little Mermaid as a kid a lot. You know, I watched that. I liked the cartoons a little bit, but you know, I like Fly the Navigator. I like Disney's real movies, actually. Crazy stuff like that, old stuff nobody really knows about or remembers. But this is pretty cool, except that tree is way too straight, I think. I'm not sure if I want to stick with that, but I do like the rest of the way this is going into foreground and background, and it has the sun shining through it like that. I do like that quite a bit. If I take out this tree, just for fun, because I can always undo. This is why I like digital art. If I were to just keep that, I think I'd still need a tree there for her head, so I'll keep it around. I think what I'll do though is increase the contrast a little bit more so it matches, and the tone is definitely too blue, too cold, so let's give it a little more, because what I'm trying to do is match her tone, her skin tone being warmer, kind of a chocolate color. So maybe I'll boost the texture here a little bit. Thank you, Kaylee. Appreciate it. It's just the beginning. Let's see what happens. But I definitely have a problem when it comes to picking a style. I have two now, I guess. I finally got it down to at least two. And that's good. I mean, it's better than having 6 like I used to. Here's another forest picture I had, so let me see if I can use this too. And yeah, so this is one of my styles that I just really enjoy making it, and it don't know why. I guess it's because I have more freedom, creative freedom. A lot of the artwork you may have seen that I've done is it has like that paper background texture, and I have like a floating large element of like an animal or something, or a skull, and then I try to design stuff inside of it, and it's very hyper realistic. And I think the problem there, it ends up being kind of a limiting, it's a hindrance to my creativity. And I really enjoy it when I do it right, but when I don't do it right, it becomes a major disappointment. For me, at least. Other people may like it, but I think that's been the problem, is that I've been so fixated on what I want to do, and I think I've been ignoring, or I'm sorry, I've been fixated on what other people may want, and I keep forgetting what I want to do is probably more important at this stage. Yeah, thank you. I decompressed a bit from yesterday, you're right. That's one reason I'm doing this video, because I'm just trying to get forcing myself out of my comfort zone and out of the funk, as they say. I'm defunking myself. And I'm not a very social person. Everybody who knows me knows that I'm very antisocial, and I am. I'll admit it. I don't like being social. I'm not talented in talking. I'm slow-witted. And I'm not trying to sound like a complete asshole here. I'm just saying, like, I'm just honest with my weaknesses. I'm just not good at those things that other people are maybe really great at. Doesn't mean I'm a total idiot, but it just means I speak slowly, I think methodically, and then 20 minutes later, I'll think of the greatest thing to say, but it's 20 minutes later. But I'm sure a lot of people are like that. Aren't we all, right? But some people are naturally just really good at talking and acting and just being super good. Especially artists I know. And that's why they have an advantage, because they've earned it. I'm not saying they're born with it. I'm just saying that they've worked hard for their ability to speak well and coherently. And I certainly have my moments that I do well, but more often than not, I'm kind of stumbling for the word. I think my parents thought I had autism. I think they never told me that officially, but I got the hint that they thought something was up with me. It wasn't autism. It's probably ADHD. I was diagnosed with ADHD, but that was years ago by some guy who knows. Like, now I'm an adult and I never took any medication for it. I don't know if there is medication for it. I've seen a documentary on Netflix about people getting addicted to Ritalin or whatever it's called, ADHD stuff. And I'm not a big fan of drugs, period. I've been on antidepressants before for a short time. And it didn't hurt me, but it didn't really help me either. So I just said, why would I take this pill for the rest of my life? And now I take an anti-anxiety medicine when I have like flare-ups, because I get the panic attacks sometimes when I like go on a plane or dealing with a really big crowd or something. Like whenever I do a convention, I take anti-anxiety medicine. I love everybody there, but I just can't handle it. It's too much talking, too much noise, too much stuff going on. And anyway, I think a lot of people can relate to that, but for what I'm understanding, ADHD has a lot of those shared, similar kind of symptoms to that. So maybe for years I've been thinking I have other issues, but it's probably just ADHD. Which inadvertently may have been causing my lifelong issues with like depression and stuff, because it's just been extremely frustrating. And other people deserve compassion and sympathy way before I do, because they actually have legit traumas and issues going on. They're like sexually abused or in a war zone or have no money, they're impoverished. Those people, I feel like they deserve help way before I do, which is why I kind of try to handle everything myself without asking for help. And that, it worked for most of my life, but as I got older, it started to not work so well. I think it's because I kind of realized I'm getting older and I don't have time to waste anymore. What's the program in the background? Oh, that's Warren. Hey, Warren. What's going on, man? Thanks for jumping on. Warren's another great artist I'm friends with, and he does really, really cool stuff. He started doing woodblock prints. His name is Famous After Death. He's really cool. You should check out his stuff. He's I own a really big piece of Warren's in my living room of a really cool skull, like Norse god kind of, runes. It's like Celtic, I guess, or Viking. Yeah, Norse, yeah. So I really like that piece. I love it. And I had somebody, actually our interior designer came in the other day to kind of look at our remodeling stuff, and she mentioned that. She's like, oh, that's so cool. What is that? And I told her what it was, and that it was from Warren. So Warren's cool. Stop lying. That's one thing I suck at, is lying. So I'm telling the truth, because you would know if I was lying. But yeah, anyway, you were asking about the program. It's Bridge, Adobe Bridge. And that is right here. Is that what you're talking about? This thing on the top? That's where I look at all my images. Villain Fangirl, thanks. Yeah, I remember meeting you and we did that little video thing. You're the T Villain Girl shirt. You collect all the shirts. I love it. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for watching. Yeah, I needed a break. Oh, you're back to work too. Good. Hey, Adam, what's going on? Good to see you. Been a while, Adam. I hope you're doing well. Hope the family's well. Yeah, I've been a social recluse. I just don't want to, not COVID stuff. It's just I've been having a lot of shit going on, so I've been trying to avoid everything and everybody. My usual thing. Oh, TK, man, how you doing? Yeah, I follow your YouTube channel. Thank you. Yeah, you're awesome. Thank you for showcasing my work and your channel. I always see the Dragon Ball art up there. Appreciate it. I'm just trying to come up with ideas here. See, now that I'm talking, I'm starting to lose my concentration. That's my ADHD kicking in right there. That's okay. That's why we're having fun. There's no pressure here. I got to remember that when we do these things, I'm not trying to impress anybody. I'm just I want to do more live videos. I really do. I just feel like it slows me down a lot, but it actually makes it more interesting, because then you guys can kind of see what I'm doing, and maybe I can either answer questions or do whatever it takes. So Warren, you were saying Bridge crashes your computer, and I have 64 gigabytes of RAM. Oh, here's my first spam call of the day. Nope. I get at least 20 spam calls every day, so I wouldn't be surprised if that happens again. But yeah, Bridge is certainly a RAM-hungry program, and I don't know if you can see it on here. Probably can't, but so at the bottom you can't see it, but it says I have 14,138 items in this folder. That's just my catch-all folder of pictures. So yeah, it has to go through 14,000 something images every time I load it up. And I have a really big hard drive. I have like a 4 terabyte hard drive, So I cache all the images on the local computer so that when it starts up, it's not destroying my life. But regardless, it still causes plenty of problems. Wasn't there like a cave in Mulan with the dragon in the beginning? God, it's been so long since I saw that movie. You guys can help me out if you know Mulan. Like, doesn't she go into a cave or a temple or something and meet that little dragon, the Chris Rock dragon? I think it's Chris Rock. I forget. And like I don't know what happens, or she breaks a seal or something, and he becomes like. Hey, buried. What is it? Buried in a daylight. Hey, thank you for the Mononoke piece. Yep. I want to get back to doing my version of the fan art stuff. That Nausicaa piece I did recently was a way to hybridize my photo collage work with fan art. Still not 100% sure I want to go too much in the fan art direction anymore, but if it's something I really enjoy, which is pretty much all Ghibli stuff, I don't mind doing that. And Zelda and Ghibli are my two favorite things, which you probably know. Disney is kind of like I was saying earlier, it's not really my favorite, but it's something I certainly enjoy. And I'll just kind of crap out and pause out sometimes. Oh, it's Eddie Murphy, that's right. Yeah, sorry. Eddie Murphy. I don't know why my dad absolutely hated Eddie Murphy with a passion. I'm like, why? He just didn't like him. Like the way his jokes and stuff, he just hated it. I don't know why. I always liked him. He's funny. I love Golden Child, that weird 80s movie. I loved it. All those 80s movies are fun. Well, it's a little boring right now. Sorry, I'm going through the exploration phase. This is the phase that's a little boring. You just watch me try to find something that would be a potential thing that I can put in here that looks good. Peter Herman, I guess. This guy has incredible photography, and he's very gracious to allow people to use it in their work. So he's on unsplash.com. Incredible lighting, incredible compositions. Very, very, very nice for this guy to allow people to use his work. So I definitely wanted to shout out to him. My last artwork, I used his building in one of the pieces. And Susan Wilkinson, I use a lot of her pour drip art, acrylic art. I think it's acrylic oil kind of stuff. Not oil, I'm sorry, acrylic. I forget what they call that exactly. This liquid art, I guess. I use a lot of that in my texturing. You can see it in the background. I play with it, isolate it. Yeah, Eddie Murphy's stand-up. Oh man, that's the stuff that my dad would turn that shit off when I was a kid watching it. We had HBO by accident when I was a kid. Long story short, the guy who hung the cable line in the neighborhood, he accidentally must have given us the neighbor's HBO because it was all spliced from a box up on the top of the wire, above. So all of a sudden we got HBO and we didn't say anything. We just kept getting it. But man, I saw some shit that I probably shouldn't have seen as a kid. A lot of, those stand-up shows and stuff. And I remember watching a Robin Williams one, and I was like, my dad walked in, he's like, what the fuck? And I'm like, that's what Robin Williams said. He was pretty rough. But yeah, so So I'm doing basic compositional arrangement right now. If I do something, I've said this before in videos, I love water. I love to introduce a river or a waterfall. This is becoming less and less Mulan and more just its own thing, or maybe a different thing. I don't know yet. This is bothering me because that's not the correct it's not the correct lighting as the other one has. Actually, I'm going to use a different filter for that. Let's see. I'm going to increase the contrast, exposure, and we're going to boost the clarity. Oops. And we're going to trying to match it to the picture below it, so it's got more green in it, it looks like. Let's see if that helps. Probably not. A little bit. Still too saturated. Just do a hue saturation. It's a little closer. There's a new feature in Photoshop called neural filters that help you. Actually, we could test it right now. Let's just do it. I'll show you this new feature in newer Photoshops. It's called neural filter, and they have a bunch of them. Let's see. You probably can't see this. Yeah, here we go. Okay. I'm looking at my other screen trying to see what the Instagram sees. All right, so this is neural filter. There's something called harmonization. This is where it gets kind of tricky because you have to pick a layer, and they give you a little picture, but it's kind of difficult. I think this is the layer I'm working on. Oh, I'm sorry. No, you pick the layer that you're referencing for the colors. So I'm going to pick that forest scene in the back. This one. Is that it? No, that's not it. This one. No, that's not it either. Huh. This is why you should label your layers, guys. You're gonna end up like me, not able to find anything. The heck is it? Huh. It's like it's not showing up. Oh, let me just cancel and specifically find out what layer that was called. 212, okay. All right, let's try this again. 212. There it is. Oh, it's just, I don't know why okay, whatever. Trying to see if there's any result here. I don't see a picture of what it should look like. Oh. Well, I guess it's not working as well as I expected. Sorry. I'm just gonna hit OK and see what happens. Oh, okay. Can you see it? It changed the colors. Yeah, so it boosted the colors and the tone to match this scene back here. Although I wouldn't say it did a great job, but I think my job was a little better actually. I guess that's something. Okay. So yeah, that's neural filters. That wasn't that great in this situation, but I have used it before where it has been pretty useful. I still think mine's better. I'm just gonna get rid of this. See that there's green, and my tone is better than the one that Photoshop came up with. So Anyway, we'll save that for later. Let's go back to composition here. Let's see, you can see everything on the screen correctly. I have to remember that you guys can't see exactly everything. There we go. Okay. Trying to let you see the full view. Okay. Yeah. My art sucks. That's what I've been thinking recently. But I know it doesn't. It just feels like it sometimes. I think the problem being that a lot of this has been feeling coerced into doing things that I don't really feel like doing. Which is just how it goes. I have to counteract. There's some things I really love doing, and I feel at that moment I have to do it. It's kind of cliche, but when you have a little spark of inspiration, you just really want to do something. Sometimes you just have to put everything else on hold and do that. But that's not what life wants you to do, right? So. A lot of my struggle is me saying, that's life, too bad. Which makes me feel guilty, of course. Every time I do something for myself, it's like, you don't deserve that. Because I've been extremely fortunate that I actually have done, I mean, I'm not exactly successful, but I'm probably a little higher up there when it comes to marketing and doing my art throughout the world and stuff. And I certainly, I know that, and I really appreciate that fact. So maybe a lot of this is imposter syndrome or whatever they call it, where you feel like you're not quite as good as people think, and that's one reason I like maybe doing these videos, is to be open and honest, and you guys can see that that's what I was saying earlier in the video. There's not a lot of artists, not famous, but like influential, I guess is the word, creators that I follow. None of them get on the internet. None of them say, well, yeah, I got like a lot of problems. I struggle with depression. I struggle with issues with this and that. And if they do, it's more like a personal thing. It's not related to their artwork. I guess some do. I just haven't maybe found them. But I wish more people, because I would feel better if I heard somebody who's extremely talented, who I look up to, say that, no, I don't have all my shit together. Sometimes I go through a lot of trouble, and there's a lot of crap that doesn't really work out right. And that would make me feel a little bit more like, oh, they're actually human. They're really good at art, but they're also just humans like me. Those kind of things would be nice to see more of. But I feel like it's a bit of it's not good for a branding perspective to go up on the internet and say, yo, I got problems. People will be like, what? I thought you were, you had everything all awesome and together. I mean, that's why we follow you, because you're an inspiration. It's like, you can be vulnerable and be inspiring, I think. I hope so, because that's what I want from people. I want honest people when I watch their videos and see their stuff. Because I don't think YouTube's going anywhere. I don't think, as much as I hate TikTok, it's probably not going anywhere. People's attention spans have gone from, 2 minutes to 2 seconds. It's just how it is now, and we have to learn to live with it. I sound like such an old person, but it's. I mean, I remember I grew up in 80s, 90s, mostly 90s. I mean, I was born in early 80s, but I grew up without computers and with computers, without social media and then with social media. So it's been a unique situation seeing. I guess I'm like right at the beginning of millennial. Thanks, TK. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'll do more. I mean, I always say that I'll do more, and then I never do it. But what the hell, you know? Just need to do it more often. Just do it. But if I got freelance going on, I can't really talk. I have to get it done, but because they're not paying me to talk. But this is my own personal stuff, so I can do it. And I remember I said before that I wasn't going to do freelance. Well, guess what? I'm starting to do more of it. And I don't mind. As long as it's the stuff that I want to do and they want me to do it in my style, I'm cool with that. This one's going to be tough to match. I guess that really is desaturated back there now that I look at it. Huh. We'll see what happens. We'll do it. See what happens. Not quite. Thanks, Adam. I mean, I wouldn't say everything's a failure. I think I was being a little dramatic there, but I just... I'm not getting it's not the response from you guys, it's my own. When I look at the stuff and I look at it and I say, have I progressed? You know, am I actually getting any better at this stuff? And that was the kind of the realization, seeing that I was thinking, geez, I haven't really gotten much better over the last couple years. So it's been frustrating to say the least. But it's not very fair to reality because I have gotten better. I just don't see it, I guess. And that's the patience part. Where's the patience? I don't have much, never have. Which is tied to the ADHD, I think, where I've always been impatient. And I was reading about it because I don't believe I have ADHD at first. I really didn't believe it. I think it's kind of, there's no way. Because how have I functioned all this time? How have I been able to run a business and do all this stuff? I don't think this is going to work with these trees. Whoops. But I'll save it and maybe check it out, something else out there. But yeah, I didn't believe I have ADHD because I just thought it's impossible. I've been able to run a business and do other things in the past, get through college. But I was under the impression that, like, if you have ADHD, you can't function at all. Like, it's obviously not true, but for some reason in my mind, I thought that's how it is. There's no way. But I guess there's, just like anything, there's high functioning, high level kind of. So probably I'm just a high level, high functioning version of that. The reason I always use forests in my art, almost always, I know there's plenty of other places like beaches and deserts and things like that, but I don't know, I guess that's a personal preference of mine. Because forests, I feel the most at ease, being surrounded by nature and things like that. And I like the idea of having these isolated, abandoned places, quiet rivers or streams or mountains, things like that. They always made me feel at peace. Every time I go to a park around here or a trail or something, it's always so busy with people, and I get kind of angry, and I really shouldn't be. It's not their fault, they're just doing what they do, but I just get kind of mad because I'm like, I want to be here alone. I don't want other people around. And it's very selfish. Just kind of terrible, right? Because they're just doing the same thing I'm doing. They're just there to enjoy their time. But like yesterday I went for that walk and it wasn't too busy. It's getting kind of hot around here now, hot and humid, so it's becoming a little less enjoyable because I burn very easily because of my skin tone, and I always have to wear long clothing and sunscreen and hats and shit because I burned myself a lot as a kid. You know, the way my family history is with cancer, I'm not messing with it anymore. Just forget it. So I look like I'm in a damn bee suit or armor, and everybody's looking at me like, what the hell's wrong with this guy? Why is he dressed like it's 100 below? It's like, I don't want to. It's just too freaking hot, too much sun. So Florida is like the worst place I could possibly live. But at the same time, it's not that bad because, well, it's cheaper to live here and there's fairly good opportunities. And now that we have this house, I'm definitely not moving. This is the first time in my life I haven't had a mortgage or a rent or something, which has been very nice. And I didn't want it, I didn't want it for this situation, but it's just the way it is. And so all I can say about that is I guess I'll just do the best I can given the situation. I kind of like that. Actually, I shouldn't have done that. So with this style, when I do this kind of style stuff, I usually want it to be a little looser and doesn't have to be so crispy and perfect, like all the leaves having to have their own little shadow and crispy detail. So what I just did there is I created a mask, a clipping mask, and I just hit Command I, or Control I guess, on the Windows. And that just erased it, but now I have a brush and I'm just kind of painting in the image back. So it's just a little shortcut to bypass the whole erasing everything first and then coming back. I really want to cover her eyes up, and now that I've kind of given up, this is probably not going to be a fairy tales piece at this point, but it has every freaking